um, first class, and we are recording this meeting just in case somebody wants to go back and look at what was discussed. I think we have a couple more attendees, and I'm hoping they will follow or join the class shortly. Now, the reason we are having this through Zoom is most of you are located remotely, and it just makes it a lot easier for us to be able to connect and share information and progress with the course. So first things first, what is this course all about? As you probably have read, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen at this point so we can see what we're talking about. So this is a directed studies course, which means all of you students will work with a faculty member, which in this case is me, on a specific topic that aligns with my specialties or my areas of interest. One of my areas of interest is obviously nutrition, and I've had a long-standing theory that there is sufficient nutritional inequity in Northern Ontario and in remote and rural areas that it leads to differential health outcomes in the population. So what we are going to do is we are going to look at this in a little more detail. If you go on to your D2L account, and if you log into your D2L, what you can do is if you go to the directed studies course, what you have now in the content section is the course outline. The outline is under the table of, well, it's under the overview section. And if you look at the outline, let me see if I can minimize this. There we go. If you go through the outline, what you can see is we are going to have our first introductory meeting, which is right now. And we will have, we will have follow-up meetings on an as-needed basis. But before we continue any further, what I would like to ask all of you is I would like to set up, at least initially, a bi-weekly meeting as a class so all of us gain from each other's learnings. So can you all let me know if Wednesday at 11:30 is a good time for all the attendees? Does that work for all of you? Can you can just chime in, you can unmute yourself and just let me know. Yeah, there's somebody on the chat window. Let's see what they have to say. Morgan says yes for 11:30. Feel free to just unmute yourself unless it's not letting you do that, just because it's easier.
Do 11:30.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Samantha. Morgan's confirmed as well. We have one.
I can also do 11:30.
Thank you, Madison. Okay, it looks like 11:30 works for most people. Have I not heard from anybody? Okay. Charlotte, does it work for you?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So let's set up a bi-weekly meeting for 11:30. The meetings won't necessarily be full class section or something, but at the very least, what we can do is we can follow up with each other as to how our progress is occurring for the study itself. Now, the review, what we are planning to do as an entire class is to write a review. Now, as students, have any of you seen or read reviews? Yay, nay, not sure what a review is? All responses are welcome. The only bad response is no response.
Yes, we did that in the last class, the research literacy.
Okay, so you've read a review. Okay, excellent. And I think most of you have taken research literacy. Is there anybody who hasn't taken research literacy? It won't count against you. I just want to know.
I haven't taken it, but I've taken other courses with human kinetics and research.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. Yeah, okay, perfect. So safe to assume that everyone has some exposure to what a review looks like. Now, just for fun, what I've done is I'm going to switch back and forth between content, but I have put an example of a review that I was an author on. And a review is essentially a comprehensive appraisal of existing literature on the topic. In this case, this review was about oxidative stress leading to heart conditions of the cardiovascular system and of the brain. It is on your D2L account. You can download it and take a look at it. One of the things to understand in a review is a review looks at a broad body of literature and it breaks it up into different sections. So as you go through this review, you'll see that it's organized into sections. And typically when there are multiple authors in a review, each author takes the responsibility of one or more sections. So our objective for this class is to gain expertise in a certain area and at the same time create some new content or be productive and give something back to academics and to the learning process. So going back to the overview, oh, there's a chat comment. Can't ignore the chat comments. Charlotte confirms. Thank you for saying yes in the chat. I believe this is for the bi-weekly meetings. Okay, so our review topic is the nutritional divide in Canada and its role in the differential development of chronic disease. It sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but we're going to break it up into 6 sections. The 6 sections that I've initially organized it, and you will see this in your, when you look at it, at your own time, is access to nutrition, food insecurity, and food banks, nutritional education and access to nutritional information, intersectionality of other determinants with nutrition, consequences of malnutrition and food insecurity, successful global models of chronic condition prevention and management with nutrition, and does the new Canada Food Guide address the challenges presented? And I've opted to author that section myself. Now, it's one thing to read a review, it's another thing to contribute to a review. Most of you have done some amount of literature searching for different projects. Is it fair to assume that you have, or do you think you might need a little overview on how to do literature search? Okay, I'm going to call names. Morgan, have you done a literature review before?
Yes, I'm comfortable with it.
Okay, I'm going to go to Charlotte next. Charlotte, how about you? Have you done some kind of a literature search previously?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
I'm good with it.
Good. Madison, how about yourself?
Yeah, I've done some.
Okay, good. And you know what? This is work in progress. We'll go back and forth. And Samantha, what about you?
Yes, but if it's possible, could you put a link to the Laurentian Library access to the articles?
100%. Well, not to the articles, because that's something that you will search. I will not be giving you articles.
Not the individual articles, but
okay.
You know, the place where you get the articles that don't have, okay, I have an abstract, but nothing else on it.
Yes. So what I will do, we will do that in this class, and that's the objective of this class, and it's all being recorded, and I'll put the recording up on D2L. So you can scroll, you can play the recording, and you can see how we identified the databases and everything, and we'll do that here. And if you still have any challenges, I will walk you through it. Okay, and I forgot to tell all the students, we also have Dr. Lorraine Mercer online with us, and she might be joining me at some point in my office, my beautiful orange colored office. So yeah, so just to get the experience of what it feels like being on the other side of the camera or the computer. Anyway, so we'll go back to the outline itself. It says my internet connection is unstable, which I will completely ignore. So your required reading will vary from one student to the next. Depending on what section you choose to work on, you are responsible for reading all the literature that you use to write your section of the review. This doesn't mean simply reading to the abstract. This also means careful evaluation of the research conducted, looking at the other authors that have cited that work, and you know, sorry, I think we briefly lost connection. I think we're back. Okay, so, oh, I have a little chat window. Yes, we're back. Okay, perfect. Intermittently, I'm sorry, and it has, I believe it has something to do with the quality of connection in this office. We'll try to fix that, but at the moment, I think we should be okay to continue. Your method of determining final grades is your literature review, the quality and type of search, will be for 30%. There will be a student presentation. Now, because we're doing this meeting, all our meetings on Zoom, the student presentation will also be on Zoom, and you will be able to share. Morgan says, I can see you, but you're breaking up. And I have a message from Madison as well. It's hard to understand because it's breaking up. Okay, Matt, I'm going to try something radical right here, and this is going to change everything for everybody. Give us a second. Okay, moving on from this point, we should have no issues. Let me know if I'm still breaking up. Okay, I think we're okay. I think part of the problem is there are some issues with connecting through Wi-Fi at Huntington at the moment, and that's something that I will resolve by the time we meet next time. But now I'm connected with my cable, so there should be no interruptions whatsoever. Student presentations, again, worth 20%, and you should be able to present using your laptop from wherever you are, or I would recommend you don't use your phone to do it. It doesn't make for good presentations. The final review contribution is the section which is your final evaluation, would be your written literature review as a section of the broader review itself. Okay. The outline also speaks about policies for this course. There's my contact information, and there's information about appealing your grade in case you aren't absolutely psyched and thrilled about what you receive. Okay. All right. Now, what I want to do further, I don't know that you're able to see my screen. Give me just a second. Okay, there we go. So share my screen. Okay, great. Okay, I think some of you may have missed some details on the course outlines, but that's something you can go back and read. I'm not going to go and revisit it at the moment. But more importantly, just a voice confirmation or on the chat window, how many of you have Microsoft Word on your computers or access to Microsoft Word that you can use easily?
I have it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Charlotte.
I have it.
Oh, good. Okay, that's convenient.
But as well.
Okay, good. So that makes everything a little bit easier. So what I'm going to show you now is how we can make things easier for ourselves using referencing software. Do all of you have some sort of referencing app associated with your Microsoft Word documents or applications?
I don't have Microsoft Word. I have OpenOffice that I save into a doc format or Microsoft endings.
Okay. Is there any citation database that you can use with OpenOffice?
I don't know yet.
Okay, is that something you can search for the next couple of days? Because what I'm going to show you is going to be very valuable and will save you hours of time as you're writing your own sections. So even though you don't have Microsoft Word, if you can find a citation software with OpenOffice, you still might be able to do it.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. But that's some research that you might have to do yourself. Okay. How about the rest of you? How about you, Morgan? Do you have some sort of an app that you can use for citations?
I'm not sure exactly what you mean, so I'll just wait and see what you show us.
Okay, very good. So if all of you have something that you use intermittently or infrequently, or you'd like a refresher, that's what I'm going to do right now, just to make things easy for everybody. Okay. So I'm going to open up a new web page. Now, on the web page, I'm going to type www.mendeley.com. Mendeley is citation/database software that you can easily use to make to store all your references, all the papers that you read, and also use it to easily cite when you create your Microsoft Office document. So this is what it looks like, and there's a link up here saying download. And if you click on the link, it downloads an app which looks on your screen something like this. If you can see my collection, do you see that little thing highlighting on my screen? So it looks like this little object on my screen where you can see the cursor.
Yes, Krishna, we can see it. It's beautiful.
Oh, fantastic. So if you go ahead and double click on the Mendeley app, what it does is it opens up a couple of windows. It requires you to sign in. You know, if you haven't created an account, you'd actually go to register and create an account. I have an account, so I will just go ahead and sign in. And I'm just going to say stay signed in. And I'm hoping it doesn't ask me for an update. I haven't opened it for a while. That would be, oh well. We can always ignore the update. So this is what it looks like, and I'm going to turn off all these notifications because it's helpful when you're new to it. But you can organize your Mendeley so that if you see all the folders on the left side, these are different areas that I am interested in and I study. And each of these folders, if I click on them, these are all the papers that I have read or reviewed or referred to. Now, if you go into Mendeley and you double click one of these papers, it comes up not just with the citation, but with the abstract and details. It'll also occasionally have the file or the paper that you've used. Oftentimes when you double click it, and if you have the paper on Mendeley, it'll pull up the paper itself. So you can go back and review the paper itself. It also has interesting features. So for example, if I find a particular section interesting, I can highlight that section and I can add a note to it saying, well, this is important to cite because of A, B, and C, whatever the reason might be. Okay, so there are many cool features, and on the Mendeley website, there is a YouTube video that you can review to go through all the details that you need for Mendeley. So this is the fun part. It's a good place to store and organize all your references. But what is even cooler is if you actually open your Microsoft Office, and I'm opening my Word right now, Word document. it's a brand new document. There's nothing much to it, but I'm going to go ahead and pretend that we're writing a sentence. And this is nothing of nothing. But let's say I have to insert a citation here. So at this point, what I do on the Microsoft Office document is I go to References. Once I click on References, because I have Mendeley installed, I can also install a little extension on my Microsoft Word, which Mendeley will show you how to do it. So the moment you say open Mendeley, well, Mendeley is already open, and you can choose the style that you want for your citation. I just picked APA. We can close this for now, and we can insert a citation here. So you see the link for insert a citation. Let's insert a citation just for fun. And automatically a little window pops up. And now I'm just going to be narcissistic and cite myself. So I'm just going to put my name in. And it picks up a bunch of papers that, so I'm just going to pick this one and I'm going to say, okay. And it puts that in an APA format. We'll pick a few more just for fun. And these are all pretend words. These are not meant to really do anything. But let's say I want to put another citation here. And I go insert citation. We'll pick a different name now. What shall we pick? I'll just pick a different citation. Okay. And we go ahead and add that. And then it adds all of this. Now, imagine you've written a whole page and you've cited a lot of work. What you'd like to do at the end is to have a bibliography, right? So what you can do at the end of your section is just say insert bibliography. And lo and behold, what it does is it inserts the full citation for your documents in the format that you choose. So you can pick any of these formats. We will be using the APA format. The fun part about this also is if you decide to go back into a section and add a different citation, the bibliography will automatically reorganize itself so that everything is in order no matter how many changes you make. And the formatting is never destroyed or changed. So it's a very useful system to have, especially when you're conducting literature reviews or when you're writing reviews and so on. Do any of you have any questions? Should we go over anything again? Okay, I hear no questions.
I have, it's Lorraine. I
Hi,
have no
Lorraine.
questions.
Sure.
I just want to say thanks for the intro, and I'll sign off now. It's interesting to see how Zoom works, and students will be looking forward to it in the coming courses. So bye for now.
Bye, Lorraine. Thank you for attending. Okay, so this is part of how everything's you would use Microsoft Word efficiently with a citation manager such as Mendeley. Now, there are different options. You don't have to use Mendeley. I use Mendeley because I find it very easy, very intuitive to use. And if you are comfortable with other formats like Citation Manager or EndNote or Cite While You Write, there are several machines that do it. Mendeley is completely free, so it's actually quite convenient to use it. Now, I think it was Samantha who requested, where do you find literature for what you want to do? So I do it in 2 steps. I have no magic formula to get to that site automatically. I go to the Laurentian website. So at the Laurentian website, it's starting up in a couple of seconds. I recognize that there's a little bit of delay between when I say something and when it actually gets to you. Still thinking. No, Charlotte, it's not you. For whatever reason, we seem to have these recording interruptions. I'm hoping it goes away. But moving forward, I can relocate to a different classroom so that we don't deal with these inconveniences. We're still waiting. Oh, there we go. So once you go, so in order to get to all the search engines, there are several different search tools or databases that you can use. If we go to the Laurentian website and we click on library, and everything's moving super slow today. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe we have lots of students online or not. There we go. So one of the things you will see when you click on the Laurentian Library webpage is you will see a search tab with different titles: catalogs, scholarly articles, e-journals, research databases. For most of your searching, you will choose research databases, and it says, please make a selection. If you click the drop-down menu, you will find AgeLine, which is, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6th or 7th from the top. And you hit the search tab on AgeLine, and it takes you to the database, AgeLine database, which is where you will be doing a large number of your searches itself. So when you go into the AgeLine database, you're going to select a topic. You're going to use keywords. So for example, if I wanted to study nutrition, and you can select a field, so I can say, maybe that's part of the abstract because that is kind of important. So we can put a second search. Let's say and hypertension. And we can select a second field. We can make that part of the abstract. And if we go ahead and hit search, what the AgeLine database does is it pulls up a whole bunch of different papers that are relevant to nutrition and hypertension. And when you click on any of these papers, what it does is, if you're connected directly on campus, what it'll do is it'll give you the paper directly because it recognizes that you're part of the Laurentian network very often. But every once in a while, what might happen, and I'm seeing if I can get an example of that. Doesn't give you, oh, there we go. It's just taking a few minutes. So in this case, the entire paper is easily accessed. Still thinking, it's still working on this. We'll give it a second or two. So you can save this paper, or you can cite this paper, or you can export this paper. Now, if you want the paper in its original form, you can click Get It at Laurentian. It takes you to a different site. And what you would do at this point is it might ask you for a username and password, which would essentially be a Laurentian ID. Because I'm directly connected to Laurentian, it's not going to ask me that, and I can just go ahead and get the full text. most of these links will tell you when the paper is available, between what dates and what dates on each of those links. Typically, if you have to accept cookies, go ahead and do it. Anyway, so this is how you'd find papers that you need and how you'd get to the databases. Another database that I like using, I know several of my peers don't think it's the best option. I find Google Scholar very, very effective. So I actually like Google Scholar, and I use Google Scholar quite a bit. Your search terms work exactly the same as any other database. So it's called a Boolean type of search. So for example, if you do nutrition and you capitalize and hypertension, what it should do essentially is pull up a whole bunch of papers. And in any database, you can limit the years that you search. We don't want anything from the 80s. It's not that relevant, or the 90s. We probably want things in the past 10 years. So you have different options. It tells you how many people. We might lose connection, and I'm sorry about that. So it kind of tells you, it gives you a brief title. You can go ahead and click. There are many journal articles. It tells you the number of citations. It's typically a good way to pick.
Mendeley. I was having trouble in my
Sorry, Samantha, you just cut out with Mendeley. What was the challenge?
Software that I was using with any the software. It when I tried to cite something Laurentian, it said that Laurentian authored it or something like that, and it wouldn't give the proper citation. If I just used the website and plugged in the website for
yes.
the.
So I would recommend that you download the paper itself. So for example, let's do a practical example here. So I have Mendeley on my desktop. So I'm just going to go back to Mendeley. So this is how Mendeley looks on my desktop. Now, instead of using a website to cite, which can create the errors that Samantha was talking about, if I go ahead and add, so I'm going to click add here. I'm going to add a paper on my computer I'm going to add a paper from my computer. I'm just going to pick one of these and I'm going to say open. So I've added a brand new paper. When you add that paper here, so that's the paper, and I'm just going to say the details are correct. Okay, when you add the paper onto your Mendeley app on your desktop, and then you go ahead to your paper and let's type in a few things and let's try to add the new citation. So I'm going to say insert citation, and I'm just going to okay. So I just scroll down, and it was a 2010. So we just go with the year as well. So okay, so let's go ahead and add. So when you go ahead and add that, what happens is it automatically adds it. You don't have the issues associated with websites. Hypothetically, if you did have to use a website to cite, if you go to your browser and you can add an extension, Mendeley extension, to your browser itself. If you had to add a website, you can click on the extension, and it takes a couple seconds to boot up. And what you can do is it says you have the option of adding PDFs, but if you don't have PDFs, you can just say it can recognize all the papers on this page. So it's asking you if you want to add the PDFs from this page. If you remove that, and if you just say add, and I've just chosen a particular folder that I have. So I just said thesis course papers. You can choose whatever folder you like, and you can go ahead and add it. And what that'll do is it will add the web page as itself. If it does detect different papers, you can add the papers as it is directly from the website. So, and then it kind of highlights the Mendeley showing that you have about 4 papers there. So I find Mendeley to be useful that way. In an ideal situation, what you really want to do is you want to go download the paper onto your computer and ask Mendeley to import the paper. So you can always, whichever folder on your computer that you added the paper to, you just go and hit plus, and then you go to the folder. In this case, I've picked my Google Drive, but it could be in a different folder. Maybe it's in a documents folder, and you have a folder dedicated to all the papers you collect for your directed studies. And then you go ahead and click that paper and you add that in. Okay. Once you add it into your Mendeley and you have a Mendeley attachment on your Microsoft Word, you can add the references easily. It'll automatically stick that in and format your references. Okay. Any questions? Okay, we have no questions at the moment, and that's fine. Everyone is clear about what we need to do. Okay, so what is the goal for us in 2 weeks from now when we meet on Wednesday? Today is the 8th, so 14 days. Wednesday, the 22nd, when we meet, what is our goal? What I would like to see from all of you on Wednesday, the 22nd, is an outline. So first, 2 things we have to do. We have to choose who is writing what section. So if we go back to the course outline, let's see if we can find that here. So if you go back to the course outline, there are 6 sections available to you. Okay. Each one of you is required to work on 1 section. Should we assign? I think it would be fair to assign the sections by random selection, unless you all are comfortable with each of you taking turns to choose. What do you feel?
Can we take turns to choose?
Okay, so Madison says she'd prefer to have people choose. Everyone on board with that?
I'm okay with that.
Morgan says okay.
That works.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
Okay, Samantha. All right. Do you folks want to pick sections? So do one thing, pick your first, second, and third choices and email them to me so that I can look at everybody's choices and then I can allocate the sections to each person. How does that sound?
Sounds like a good plan.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
Yeah,
So
sure.
let's get this thing going. So perhaps by the end of the day tomorrow, please send me an email saying which section you would like to work on. Okay. And if there are any other questions or concerns or anything, just let me know. We will be meeting in 2 weeks. In this 2 weeks time, what I want to do is once you are assigned a section, just create a skeleton outline as to what areas you will be looking at, and you can start to read the literature, start to see what information is out there. Be mindful that there might not be a lot of papers available for some of these areas. You might have to go into Stats Canada database or Health Canada or into the Sudbury District Health Unit or other district health units in Ontario and in Canada to get some of this information, because they may not be as research papers. And that's fine. That's why we are creating new knowledge, right? So you don't have to, like when we meet in 2 weeks, you don't have to be experts on the area, but at least you should have an outline as to what all you want to cover in your section and where you will be procuring all this information from. Sounds good?
Sure.
Great. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, send me an email.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
No problem. You're very welcome. Other than that, I have nothing much to add today. If there's anything else, we will address it via email or when we meet next in 2 weeks. Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.